Hello. So I'm gonna make a video about something that I haven't really talked about too publicly before because it's a little bit personal, I guess. But I don't know. Well, I used to go to like counseling sessions when I was uh an earlier teenager. Just got a text from my driving instructor. When I was earlier in my teenage years, and they said something to me. Well, on three separate occasions, three different people, like two separate counsellors and one psychiatrist, brought up to me um if I'd ever thought about having like autism, and I was like, no, probably not. And they were like, well, have you ever looked into Asperger's syndrome? And I'd never actually thought of it before, and I did at this point have a diagnosis of um I think I can't remember what it was exactly. It was an anxiety disorder, and I think it was mild depressive disorder or something like that. And yeah, so that they brought it up to me, and I was like, no, I don't think I do have that because well, it's just one of those things that doesn't really go unnoticed, I guess. But I like I don't know. It's just like it was brought up a few years ago, and I haven't really I don't know. It just sort of sticks in your head. So I've done a lot of research into it over the past few years, and I've actually found that um I do have a lot of the traits for Asperger's, and I know that there's differences between Asperger's in girls and Asperger's in boys. And when I look, like I don't really relate to much of the autism stuff and and much of the because most of that research seems to be linked more to boys. But um, when I read about Asperger's online and or watch videos of psychologists talking about it in girls, it's like, well, that's pretty much me. But I guess one of the things I worry about is like whether I should get diagnosed or not, because I don't know. Like I'm pretty sure I'd it's hard to say whether you have something or not, because I know it's just like a label, isn't it? But I guess it's more than a label, because like when certain behaviours interfere with your daily life, it's like it's sort of hard to be able to like explain it to other people, if that makes sense. Like when you do things that are perhaps a little bit not normal, like one of my things is I hate being too hot. I hate breathing in like hot air when the room's too hot. Um, like our car was broken the other day. My mum had to have the heater on so that the engine didn't get too hot. And all the way back from our outing, I had the window wound down with my head stuck out because I cannot stand things being too hot. I just like it. I just don't like it. And another one is people talking too loudly or loud noises in general, like like when the radio's on too loud, and I feel it like rattling my eardrums, and it's like no one else seems to be bothered by it to the extent that I am. And it just, yeah. And like my mum, I feel like she talks loud, like, and she says that she does, but she got offended one time because I like, well, I don't want to listen. Like if something's hurting my ears, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm gonna cover my ears up, and like I can still hear you. It's just not rattling my eardrums as much. Yeah, so there's that. I know that sensory issues like those is a trait with Asperger's and autism. Um, Also another one that comes up is a dislike of hugging. And this was one that I actually experienced up until being about 15 years old when I took ecstasy. Like, before that, I used to absolutely hate being hugged by anyone. Like, my mum, like, my sisters, my friends. Like, I didn't understand it. It felt like a chore. Like, my friend would always want to hug me before we left, and I was like, no. Or it would be awkward, like, me just, like, sort of curling up or something, like, stiffening up. And then I took ecstasy a few times, and it's like, oh well, I get hugging now. I can sort of, I've overcome that barrier. Now I actually quite like hugging people sometimes. Um, yeah, I guess so. That's another a sensory trait, I guess you could call it, that I have. Another one that I've sort of just realised, which is also sensory, is the fact that I find tickling physically painful, and I don't know if anyone else feels this, but like when someone tickles me, it hurts. Like I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to do that. Like I don't know. I hate it. Yeah. Trying to think of anything else. So they're basically the sensory ones. I know there's issues to do with like organization. I can't remember what it's called exactly. I think it's executive functioning. That's it, and it's basically time management, organisation, and just getting things done without procrastinating. And that's something I really struggle with, especially when I haven't got a set routine. Like when I'm at college, I have a timetable, I have lessons to go to. It's all sort of laid out in how the day is going to go. But when I'm at home, there's just so many distractions, and I just struggle to sort of like keep up with things. And yeah, that sort of makes things worse when with like where I guess it arises other issues, like when you can't stay organized. It's like it's hard to stay happy because like I'm not getting the things done that I need to get done. And when I'm trying to, like, I can get things done, it just takes me ages to be able to like sit down and start doing it, especially when I'm like at home, or when I'm like outside of a usual routine and I'm just relying on myself to do it. So that's another issue that I have. And I'd say that's quite a big one. And another one is like emotional meltdowns. Like, well, I had an argument with mum yesterday over something completely trivial, like to everyone else anyway. But like I was saying earlier, I hate being too hot. I was in the room here and I was playing on the Nintendo Wii with my sisters, and I'd open the window because it was boiling hot. All the radiators were on because my mum was trying to dry the clothes, and so then my mum came in and shut the window. So I went and opened it again because it's boiling hot in the living room. Um, and so she came in and she shut it again. So I opened it again, and then the third time, she ended up shouting, and that's like two things. It's like when the room's too hot, and then she's shouting about, I don't know, she shouted about it. So I completely like lost my temper with her. Yeah, I completely lost my temper with her, and I just started shouting, and I called her things that I probably shouldn't have said. And I don't know, it just sort of feels like uncontrollable rage, and I don't know, like I can't help it happening. Like it happens sometimes, but I'd rather it happen when I'm by myself and not necessarily around other people. Like it's happened at college a few times, and I don't really enjoy it. I don't want it to happen, but it's like you get past a point where you're able to verbalize exactly what you're going through, and it's like that's the only way it can sort of channel. Like when I'm by myself, it's okay. Like I can just like be me sort of. I can just be okay, and I could just be emotional without feeling like I'm just like, I don't know, being a burden on other people or putting my problems on other people, because I don't know, I don't know. Like, because psychologists and counsellors and therapists, they say that you don't really need to get diagnosed with something if it's not affecting your daily life, or if it's not it doesn't pose any noticeable issues, but it sort of does. Like it sort of does like cause issues in my life. And not just for me, but like for other people, like my family. Yeah. Oh. I don't know, I'm just stuck on whether or not to like. Because I've talked to some of my teachers about it. And one of them, well, they're both. I've talked to two of my teachers about it. One of them says that it's just a label, and the other one says that I probably don't have it, but that was like a shorter conversation. See, I don't know whether, like, I think my conflict here is whether to go and actually get a diagnosis or not, whether to go see someone about it. My cat's scratching the sofa. Like, I think that's what's bothering me a little bit, because I know that I have the characteristics. I know that I fit the criteria because I've done a lot of research into it, and I don't know. I'm just unsure of whether to do that or not. Like, I get that it's not like that much of a big deal, but it sort of feels that way sometimes. And like sometimes I'm like, yeah, no, it's okay. I don't have it, and I don't think it is a bad thing, too. But I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what other traits I've got of it. It's just, I guess there's some social ones. Like I would rather not go out. I don't like being in big groups. I don't like going to parties. I don't like. I don't know. These are things that I sort of like to do as an earlier teenager because that's what all my friends were doing, and I thought, oh, that's what people just do. But now it's like, well, I just don't have any interest in that whatsoever. I'd rather sit down one on one with a person if I'm going to have a conversation. I'd rather sit down with someone that I know and someone that I trust and someone that I can actually have a decent conversation with and actually get something out of it rather than just going out and getting drunk. Yeah. Cat's cute. Oh. Yeah, so... Yeah, another thing I did the other day with noises was I was sat in here reading and it was really quiet, but there's a clock up there and it ticks all the time, and Sometimes I'm actually able, I sit in the room with nothing else on and I just listen to the clock and I'm like, well, this is symbolic of time passing by and I can actually find it quite therapeutic. But I was trying to read and I kept, instead of looking at the words, I was reading the words, but my attention was at the clock. So I got the clock and I took it out into the kitchen and put it under a tea towel, shut the door, and left it there. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out anyway, probably. Another trait is like having some sort of talent, and I'm okay at art. Like I enjoy to draw, and people say that my art's good. So I'll just, based on the evidence, I'm gonna assume that it is. Like I don't think the majority of what I do is good, but other people seem to think otherwise. Like I know when I do a good piece of work, or I know when I'm pleased with a piece of work, and perhaps it's due to the process that I've gone through in order to complete that work. But I spent like 20 hours on this sort of, I don't know what you call it. It's like a mandala but a bit different, a doodle sort of thing. And I'm not happy with the outcome. I spent a long time on it. I like some parts of it, but I don't like it as a composition, even though I put a lot of time into it. But yesterday I was sat painting lobsters, and I'm happy with the outcome so far, and I've added my own twist into it. I've done doodles in the background. Like it's from my art project at college. Actually, my project's called Interwoven, and the reason that I'm actually doing focusing on lobsters so much is because of my art teacher. He suggested an artist called Dali who did a lobster telephone, which was basically a telephone with a lobster on the top. So it's that idea of interwoven objects which don't necessarily go together. So I've been using the lobster, but then instead of doing different objects, I'm interweaving patterns behind the lobster. And the lobster that I'm currently painting from is from an artist called, I think he's called Michael Sharp or something. I can't remember exactly his name, but yeah, I've done 3 reproductions of this lobster, 2 of which I did yesterday simultaneously, which is another thing I've been trying. I'm also not really confident with acrylics, so but I've just been trying to use those recently, and it's actually turned out okay. I won't show it now because it's upstairs and I can't be just gonna get it. But yeah, I do enjoy doing that. Doing that stressful sometimes because I don't feel like it goes good. But yeah, I'm gonna cut this out anyway because it's like 18 minutes in, so I might upload this to the internet, and if I do, just let me know what you think. Like if I don't know if what I'm saying aligns with my actions in videos. Like, do you think that there's a possibility that I could have Aspergers? And this is for the people who have seen multiple of my videos, and I guess you've sort of got a little bit of a taste for my personality, but then again, it's not necessarily my whole personality, it's just what I show to the internet. But I think you'd be able to make a clear judgment on that. I can't make a clear judgment on it. Like, I know that I fit the criteria, I know that I have the symptoms, it's just the conflict lies in whether or not to get diagnosed or not. And I feel like it could be beneficial for social reasons in that people can understand me a little bit more, perhaps. But then again, does it matter? And that's another question I've got to face. I think I'm just going to have to think a little bit more about this, but I just keep going around in circles. I keep coming to different conclusions. Like, one minute I want to, the next I don't, because I don't know. I just don't know what the right thing to do is. Maybe there isn't a right thing to do. Maybe I should just do whatever. Maybe because I keep getting the inclination and it keeps on coming back, I should just get the diagnosis. I'm not going to regret it. Like it'll just be there. It'll just be on the sideline. It's not going to affect me as I am. It'll perhaps maybe even help me understand me a little bit better and why I do the things I do and why I'm a little bit strange. But yeah, I don't know. I think it could be beneficial for some reasons. I think it could also be beneficial to my family because I'm a little, I don't know. My sister questions some of my behaviour sometimes. Um, yeah. Okay. Thank you for watching.